The afternoon sun cast a golden hue over the school courtyard, and the protagonist sat on a bench, his usual spot. His outward expression was calm, even cheerful, but his thoughts were anything but. Today wasn't a normal day. It was the day everything would begin to unravel. Across the courtyard, two girls were approaching him. One wore a radiant smile, the picture of sweetness, while the other maintained a calm, collected demeanor. Both were important to him, but what they were about to say would shatter his carefully constructed world. What could they possibly want from him now? As the first girl sat beside him, her voice trembled with nervous excitement. She confessed her feelings. But not for him. No, she had fallen for his best friend, the one person he trusted the most. He felt a pang of disbelief, but kept his composure. Before he could process what she'd said, the second girl stepped forward. Her words were even more unexpected. She too was in love, but with the same friend. His heart sank. Their confessions weren't meant for him at all. He forced a smile and offered his support, masking the frustration bubbling beneath the surface. Was he just a tool in their grand romantic plans? As the days passed, he couldn't shake the bitterness growing inside him. On the surface, he remained the cheerful, dependable friend everyone knew. But when he was alone, his true feelings emerged. He had worked so hard to build connections, to be seen as someone worth caring for. Yet now, he was nothing more than a pawn in someone else's story. Late at night, he sat alone in his room reflecting on the day's events. "Why does it always come to this?" he muttered. "Why am I the one left behind?" Just when he thought he'd hit rock bottom, a voice interrupted his brooding. It was her, the girl who always seemed to appear when he least expected it. She was sharp, tongued, and cynical, the complete opposite of the others. "You really thought they cared about you," she teased, her smirk cutting through the tension. He didn't know whether to be angry or grateful for her blunt honesty. "Why are you even here?" he asked, his frustration evident. She shrugged. "Because watching you flail around is too entertaining to pass up. Besides, you'll need me if you want to turn this mess around." Was she offering help or setting him up for more chaos? With her guidance, he began to see the bigger picture. The seemingly innocent confessions weren't as straightforward as they appeared. There were hidden motives, subtle manipulations, and a tangled web of relationships he hadn't noticed before. She urged him to play along, to keep up his role as the supportive friend while quietly gathering information. "If you want to win," she said, her tone serious for once, "you have to understand the game you're in." Her words stayed with him. Was this really just a game? And if so, what was the prize? As he delved deeper into the lives of those around him, he uncovered truths he wished he hadn't. The people he thought he knew were far more complex, and far more selfish, and far more selfish than he'd imagined. Even his best friend, the one everyone seemed to adore, wasn't as perfect as he appeared. Behind the charming exterior lay a trail of broken promises and shallow relationships. Confronting these revelations wasn't easy. Each discovery felt like a betrayal, a reminder of how little he truly mattered to the people he cared about. "Why do I keep hoping for something real?" he wondered. Despite the mounting despair, he found himself relying more and more on the girl who had approached him that night. Her sarcasm and sharp wit were a strange comfort, a reminder that he wasn't entirely alone in this mess. One evening, as they sat together beneath a starry sky, she said something that caught him off guard. "You're not as useless as you think," she remarked, her voice softer than usual. "You just need to stop caring about people who don't care about you." Her words stung, but they also sparked something inside him. Was it possible to rewrite his story? To break free from the roles others had assigned him? As he stood at a crossroads, he couldn't help but reflect on everything that had led him here. The confessions, the betrayals, the hidden motives. It was all part of a larger pattern, one he was determined to break. But how? Could he truly trust anyone? Or was he destined to navigate this labyrinth of lies alone? The girl who had become his reluctant ally watched him closely, as if sensing his turmoil. "So, what's it gonna be?" she asked, her tone challenging. He didn't have an answer, not yet. In the end, he realized that the only way forward was to take control of the game. He wouldn't be a pawn any longer. Instead, he would become the player, weaving his own plans and setting his own goals. As he looked around at the people who had used him, he felt a strange sense of clarity. This wasn't about revenge or even love. It was about reclaiming his agency, his sense of self. With a newfound determination, he turned to his unlikely ally. "Let's do this," he said, his voice steady. But deep down, he couldn't shake the lingering doubt. Would this path lead to freedom or to even more heartbreak?